Hi everyone, welcome to our PTE Plus online lessons. In this lecture, we are going to be talking about the key information of summarized spoken text. This question type will appear in the first section of listening, and the first section will be timed separately, meaning each question will be 10 minutes long, regardless how much time you actually spend on each question. So even if you spend less than 10 minutes, you won't have extra time for the next few questions. And in section 2, the time is calculated altogether, meaning that you need to save time for more important questions later on. And then let's have a look at this scoring contribution table. Now, summarized spoken text, it's one of the most important question types in the listening section. That is partially because it contributes to both your listening and your writing scores for a considerable amount, right? 21% and 15%. So together with write from dictation, those two are the most important questions in the listening section. And now we have a ranking, right? In the actual exam, we shouldn't be spending as much time on writing dictation as we spend on other questions like select missing word or multiple choice single answers, because the weights of these two questions are not that high. Now, let's have a look at summarized spoken text, what we need to do in this question type.
Summarize spoken text. For this item type, you hear part of a lecture.
International expansion is also something that you've emphasized as CEO, and one interesting aspect of that.
You need to write a 50 to 70 word summary on what you heard. You have 10 minutes for this task. The word count at the bottom of the screen counts the number of words you write. Make sure to write a minimum of 50 words, but no more than 70.
Right, so in this question, we need to summarize a audio or a lecture that we are going to hear in the exam, and then we're going to try to meet some scoring criteria. Before getting to the scoring criteria themselves, let's have a look at the user interface. So on the right hand side, we have a timer, and then in this part of the user interface, it tells you how many questions are remaining. And then there's this question prompt, but it's important to note that there will be no indicator in the actual exam, so you won't be able to see exactly how much time is left. Right? You can only tell the length of the lecture by observing how fast this this bar goes. Right? If it goes really slowly, that means this lecture is pretty long. But if it goes very fast, then that means you're probably getting a 60 seconds long lecture. And then the audio plays after the preparation time, which would be 12 seconds. And then keep in mind that you need to complete a summary of 50 to 70 words. And you should always keep an eye on the word count on the right hand side. And the whole process consists of several sections, right? So at first we have the 12 seconds preparation time, and then the audio would play for somewhere around 60 seconds to 120 seconds. And it's important to know that the 10 minutes time allocation is inclusive of the question prompt. So in reality, we're only getting somewhere between 8 to 9 minutes to complete the question. So after the question prompt, we're going to be spending around 30 seconds observing or going through, organizing our notes. and then we're going to spend some time writing the actual summary, and then afterwards it's very important to check her spelling, vocabulary, and grammar. Because in reality, those three things are actually making a huge difference between a good SST and a bad SST, regardless of how much content you've actually picked up. Okay, and then let's have a look at the scoring criteria. Right, so just like any other questions in PTE, we have to get very familiarized with the scoring criteria, because if we don't, then we might be thinking we're doing the right thing and we're putting a lot of effort into practicing, but in reality, the things you think that are correct that might help you in your exam could be at no use, right? Just for example, for this question, if you spend a lot of time on grammar, trying to think of a very good, very complex grammatical structure, you will actually not be rewarded by it. If anything, it actually adds difficulty to actually completing this question, because it only requires correct grammatical skills, correct grammatical structures in your response. We're going to be talking about grammar and vocabulary in details in a separate video. Right? So right now, let's have a look at what the scoring criteria contain. It has content, form, grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. So for content, the more original content or aspects, right, we're able to produce, the better. And then form, it has a strict rule, which is you have to write a summary between 50 to 70 words, and then you should make good use of punctuations and spacing, right? Obviously, and you should avoid using very short sentences or bullet points. And then, as we mentioned earlier, grammar and vocabulary only require you to use correct or appropriate choice of grammar or vocabulary. And in the end, we have a spelling scoring criteria. So if we have one spelling error, we'll be getting 1 mark deducted. And if we have 2 or more, we're basically getting 0 for this item. So it's pretty important that you use only the words you're familiar with, right? If you hear a long, difficult word from the original lecture, but you can't spell it, then it's probably a good idea to paraphrase it or just use a common word that you can think of to replace the original hard word that you can't spell. Right? Alright, so that's all we have time for this lecture. We're going to see you in the next one.